What's up, you guys? It's Kenyo here, indie scientist, alternative music maker, abstract painter, entrepreneur, intrapreneur, dental health advocate. Anyway, we're watching Gary Vee. This is part 3. If you missed part 1 and 2, go watch those. Make sure you like and subscribe on the way. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Gary Vee's doing his latest video. The internet changed. Most people missed it. Groundbreaking. Social media. Let's get back into it. He's talking about a vetitor, views editors. A vetitor? What is that? Let's see.
This company has to become remarkable at understanding what content, on what platform, in what way, post-production to maximize organic views is religion. And it is a real skill. We have 100 employees at my cockamanian small agency who spend their entire life understanding what 9 platforms algorithms are doing. How many does Microsoft have doing that? These are the questions that keep me up at night and excite me. This mid-funnel is extraordinary, it's important, and if you really get into the philosophy, you'll understand why CFOs love our model more than CMOs. The amount of money that is saved when you stop spending working media dollars against creative that no one cares about is extraordinary. In fact, this universe is going to change the marketing mix. The working, non-working dollars are going to shift because of that. Our most progressive clients have literally gone from 85-15, 80-20, working, non-working, to like 2 of our most progressive clients who've been on a 3-year journey are getting dangerously close to 50-50. Because what you start working on, friends, I don't know who here is and pays attention to this part of the marketing procurement, or I don't know exactly who's watching at home. We start working on effectiveness, not efficiency. We stop rewarding our media agencies for cheaper CPMs for efficiency. I don't know if you know this. In real life, when you go outside, when you pay less for stuff, it's usually crappier. Yet, we've become obsessed in marketing to pay less for our CPMs. Do you have any idea what media you're buying? The black box of these things showing up at 3:43 in the morning on the Oxygen network. But you're pumped at home because your CPMs hit and you're bonusing and incentivizing your media agency on efficiency, which is slang term for really, really, really crappy media.
I didn't know people even really thought like that. It's interesting.
And so that's the stuff I'm thinking about. Let me tell you how the mid-funnel works. Let's just go very, very example-oriented. We're trying to reach a developer to use our cloud computing or some other product, or an enterprise to switch to Outlook or something of that nature, or our suites. You put out the content. We normally, because of what we do in a B2B environment, we normally get 500 views on our videos. Just who we are. We're not Alex Earl or Mr. Beast. We normally get 500 views. This piece of content, because we keep looking at the qual and quant of the content we make every day, and the machine gets smarter. You know, you start posting 12, 13, 14.
That's kind of what I was talking about too. One of the best reasons to keep posting and this is, I actually think business is the most complex science on the face of the earth. And so each post is an experiment, right? And so each experiment is giving you data.
14 pieces of content a day. You start getting really interesting data, you start getting smarter. Makes sense, right? The more you put out, the more context, the more quant, the more qual, your next piece of content can get better. Now you put out something that got 47,000 views. When you take that piece of creative and you send it from the mid-funnel to the lower funnel, and you take that creative that got 47,000 views, you add a slight tweak of performance to it. We call it brand performance, right? You're putting brand content in the mid-funnel, but it did well. You're taking it lower. You're giving it a call to action, a phone number, an email to a salesperson, whatever call to action you want. And you run media against that. When that out CACs and out LTV and ROASes, your best A/B practices, the entire organization starts to change its tone and tenor. And that is exactly what's happening at scale.
I don't know what CAC means. Consumer acquisition cost. Okay, that makes sense. So I do know what it means. And then LTV is lifetime value.
When you also take that video and you take it up to brand, whether you use that video
Customer
as
acquisition.
the brief to a campaign or that video itself becomes the campaign versus guessing on a big campaign.
So he's saying post, experiment. When something goes viral, spend money to boost it so it gets even bigger. Which I say just keep posting.
You can see why the mid-funnel's
But then again, his sales are better than mine.
flexibility really changes the calculus. A couple other little things I'll talk about before we do a little Q&A or whatever we're going to do here. One, podcasts, Twitter X, LinkedIn, Beehive, Substack. These are the weapons of choice for the executives in this room. The firepower of the engineers, of the product people, like just the sheer brilliance of humanity on these products that sits in this organization that has not been utilized is a humongous miss. Now, I get it. There's corporate comms, there's fear, I get all that stuff. And
honestly, in this day and age, we could get colleges out of the way. Not that it's bad to learn. Learning is the most important thing you can do. But if some type of organization came about that could just allow every human being to do a podcast, and then as a user, you could go through and figure out, okay, this is what this person's saying, this is what this person's saying, and you could learn from the people who are doing the thing. That could be the new college, and then we could pay whoever's doing that curation and organization instead, because that's what colleges were anyway, just analog without the internet, but now we have the internet, now we have videos.
Let's call a spade a spade. Some of these engineers should not be on video.
I disagree.
But what's funny is I said that for a reason. In fact, that reaction is why they should. It's almost like the weirdness of it all is like epic. Like the more they don't look at the camera, the more I'm into it, We must start to activate some of the talents here. Again, we don't decide if that engineer is good or not or on brand. We make the content and we get it into the world. Here's how we get it into the world, friends. We must adapt the P&H process. Let me explain what the P&H process is to all of you, because this is about to liberate a lot of you. P&H stands for platforms and handles. One of the biggest issues this company faces to do what I want to do. So for example, somebody asked me how many pieces of Gary Vee content will come out tomorrow. 412. Tomorrow, my personal brand will post 412 social media posts.
Amazing.
Across 10 platforms and 81 different handles. At Gary Vee the Garage Sailor, at Gary Vee Wine, at Gary Vee Jets fan. By the way, I'm very upset with the Seahawks and you guys right now. This Sam Darnold thing, he's a great friend, but really pisses me off as a Jets fan. Anyway, sorry, just had to get that off my chest. I'm actually, what's so sad? I'm excited about it. It's the best quarterback player we're going to have in that last decade. Anyway, sorry. At Outlook Today, at Excel, at Accelerating, at Microsoft Today, at. Because we live in interest media, not social media, you do not need followers to get views. This is a profound shift of the last 36 months. As you all know, comms, product, marketing, everyone's fighting to get into it. And then, even worse, everyone's treating the Instagram grid like it's a Super Bowl spot. We're so precious if it's on brand, as if you're the god or the queen of brand and your subjective opinion is right. We are getting destroyed by our lack of humility, lack of curiosity, lack of consumer centricality, and by thinking that we should be marketing based on a book written in 1991 on how brands grow that was written before the internet. And your founder of this company said the internet was a fad. And this book was written 4 years before that. And that is your marketing principles. The only way to grow a business in 2026 is to win on relevance with as many different consumer segmentations.
I don't think. I assume he's going that Bill Gates seemed a little rough.
As you possibly can, and the only way to do that is to drive down the cost of creative. Create a process that actually measures creative, and stop wasting working media dollars on dumb shit. When you create a framework for every business unit here that has 7, 10 handles across maybe 5 or 6, 7 platforms, you're now playing with 80 places for content to go. This leads to a framework where we don't waste time in meetings debating content. We realize that us debating a piece of content in a boardroom is more expensive than us posting it. It's also less strategic. We are pontificating or being political versus actually getting quant and qual feedback from the end consumer. With an algorithm that is written for relevance. That's it. That is what we need to stand up. That needs to become our religion, and the growth behind it is extraordinary.
Chill on the religion.
When you realize that all of these pieces of content are feeding the LLM models, you start to really understand how important this moment is. The fact that you doing proper marketing in 2026, that the byproduct of that is enabling the GEO and AEO battle of 2029 becomes incredibly intoxicating. When you realize you're just tired of sitting in a room and debating the color of blue that you're gonna use in a commercial that no one's gonna watch. When you realize that someone's subjective opinion or politicking because they're trying to suppress you because
That's crazy because it's just like literally a waste of time. I mean, unless you just love palettes and colors or something like that. Literally a waste of time. And that's the thing that we don't have to waste. We have to move. It's not even about moving faster. It's about being present.
or you're more talented than them. When you realize all these things, and you realize there's this opportunity to actually be consumer-centric, regardless of who your consumer is. And when you realize that the algorithms are getting so strong that when you're making the nerdiest of nerdy piece of content that is fully made for only the Fortune 50 CIOs, and that when you post it, it has the ability to find those people, and then even if it doesn't find those exact people, you get enough quant and qual feedback that you feel confident running the media on LinkedIn against those people. Because to remind you, they probably didn't tell you, LinkedIn still has like pre-Cambridge Analytica like targeting. I can literally target the CIOs of companies directly. It is literally the best ad product. And if you don't know, the word on the
Funny how nerdy he is. I don't understand exactly what he was talking about, but I think he's just alluding to the fact that some companies had to take that out, and that you can't target like that on Facebook. Also, a lot of the other stuff that he's saying, I think, really sums up in the idea of you need to just. This is how I look at it: be yourself. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can say that. I think even he sometimes doesn't know that he's saying that directly, which is just be yourself. And I think authenticity really wins out because you're going to find people who relate to you, and you can't fake that. You can't force that. You can for a little while, as we see out there every now and then. But nothing wins better than just being yourself and learning how to do social media. But we just put so many other erroneous things into the mix.
Madison Avenue ad world is LinkedIn ads are expensive because they have a high floor and not the same bidability, because the customers on it are more valuable. So that's all I got. Thank you.
He's not even joking. Super duper awesome. Shout out to Gary Vee on that one. Check me out, guys. Go ahead and like, subscribe, follow. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over here, and catch me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and definitely go to www.kenyo.org. No matter what you do, if you're looking to buy art, you want to check out my music, you're trying to grow a business, schedule a consultation. You want to learn more about the fourth dimension, business, music, science, hoverboards? Kenyo.org is your spot. See you guys.